Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. This is Hopeful in Victory Talks. This is Dusty Lion. Run that lower third, please. Thank you. And we're going to be talking about hot topics today. Today is Friday, and I want to dedicate my Fridays to just talking about hot topics, things that haven't been brought to our attention. But I want to go ahead and start you guys off with a quick announcement that today is the last day to actually make a donation for our cause that we're doing today, which is raising $1,000. Run that third, please. $1,000 to Central Illinois Friends that help people living with HIV through transportation, rental assistance, proper sexual education, proper access to healthcare. Just a really great organization. So, guys, get your donations in. If you haven't gotten them in today, the description is down in the link is down in the description below. But today is just beautiful Dusty Lion. So let me go ahead and start it off with a dab of that coffee. Bing! Get the focus. It's the money shot camera. Aha! Welcome back, guys. So let's go ahead and run that thing. Luna, go in the bedroom with that. I think sometimes we just forget that we're still human beings. Yeah, I think it's important that everyone should know their status. Knowing your status is the first step to really kind of having that conversation. I think it's important we learn how to tackle stigma and get rid of it. I think it's such an extremely amazing thing that I get to do this every day and meet such great people and learn their story and share some of their story with the people that watch us every day. To remember to stay hopeful in victory. It was showing her bone loud. She knows I'm talking about it right now too. She's giving me hella side eye. But anyways, I hope y'all like that theme. If you have any feedback on just the channel itself or the theme, leave comments. Leave comments. If you want to see something that want me to talk about next Friday, leave comments. Leave me feedback. I love interacting with you guys because you guys have great ideas. I love hearing your opinions. So go ahead and drop that down in the description below. But today we're going to be talking about gay, black, and HIV in America. This is a video that was done on through the Darien, which is a news source that I go to list all my news, or not all my news, but one of the sources I go to if ever I'm like, oh, I wanna be about that news life. I want to know what's going on in the world. Focus on HIV as an epidemic, and guess what? Atlanta, Georgia. Now, if you all know me, you all know I've been like wanting to go to Atlanta, moving to Atlanta, Georgia since like my first year in college, because I always wanted to work in Turner Broadcasting. Like I admire their work. Back to what I was getting to. This video it focused on black men in Atlanta, Georgia, and the epidemic. Why is it an epidemic within the black community? And so that's gonna be our hot topic today. And y'all, trust me, I might get a little emotional because every time I watch them, just like the feels.
It is Mecca. It's Wakanda. It is a refuge. If you live in the South and you happen to be black and be gay, this is as free a city as you're going to find. I think it's the greatest place on earth.
When I moved here, I was like, oh, thank God.
It's the greatest place on earth.
I would have a new, clean slate. I can reinvent myself. I'm able to be comfortable in my own skin.
You have all these black gay men rushing to Atlanta. And Atlanta is not the land of milk and honey they thought it was going to be.
Who thinks that they're going to be diagnosed with an illness that could possibly kill you?
I know my ass isn't. But when you think of, when I thought about Atlanta, Georgia, I didn't think like. I think that's what every place you go and where you move to. Like the whole purpose of moving, of course, is to start new, start over, a clean slate, or going for a job. But that all comes with going somewhere different. I think, yes, Atlanta, Georgia. I can see Atlanta, Georgia being admired for just living openly, thriving, because it's one of the major cities that's economically great for young Black Americans. Not great or good, just really better than most cities. That if you have a business that you want to utilize or start up, if you have a channel you want to utilize and start up, such as this. Atlanta, Georgia is probably one of the places where you can go and have a lot of support, a lot of access to different opportunities to actually grow your product, grow your company, grow your brand. So I can see that being one of the many reasons why Atlanta is the shit to go to.
You may not see 30 or you may not see 40.
White America believes this is over.
I mean, you actually hear people say the height of the epidemic. There is no way that 1989 was the fucking height.
We're not just gonna...
Wait. I know that's right, sis. 1980, no. Yes, it may have been huge in affecting a lot of people, but it's still huge in affecting people now. It's huge. One out of 2 Black gay men, I believe is the number, are going to be diagnosed with HIV at some point in their life. I think, okay. Start it up, yeah.
Sit back and watch our brothers die. We're going to do something about it.
America's hidden epidemic.
If you're a gay Black man in America today, your risk of contracting HIV is 1 in 2.
1 in 2. I was right.
I've come to Atlanta, Georgia. Long seen as a mecca for gay Black men, thousands move here each year from across the country to start a new life.
All right, so y'all, I'm finna do a little dance for y'all.
Oh, he about to dance.
This is 25-year-old Darien, who moved to Atlanta from Huntsville, Alabama in 2014.
That shit hurt my eyes.
Like this.
Ooh. Hey.
So do one more time.
Huh?
I came out in 7th grade in middle school.
Hey.
I had this crush on this guy.
Okay.
And someone told him I had a crush on him. So he went back and told his mom, who told the principal, who told my parents. And then he called me to the principal's office and was like, we don't accept that going on in our school. For my stepdad.
Did he say that they were in religious? Did he grow up in a religious school?
The hood, urban side of town. He was like, if I hear one more thing about you being gay, and ship you back to your dad.
How old were you when that happened?
I want to say 13, 14.
Wait, so his school decided to tell his parents, and he... Okay, wait, you had a crush, Darien, on the boy, and the boy found out. He went and told the principal. The principal went and told your parents, and your parents came back and pretty much threatened you, said that that's not allowed in your... What? Was it that serious? Okay. I don't know, that's ignorant.
Age of 21, Darien left the conservative city for Atlanta, where he could live freely as a gay man. Are you different now, do you think, than the Darien that lived in Alabama?
Yes. I was very shy. Growing up, I was antisocial. I was very skinny, like a twig. When I moved here, I started...
He said he was a twig. A twink. If you're straight, and you don't know what the different categories that gay men or bisexual men like to categorize themselves as, one of the many categories is a twink. As you can see, I'm very skinny, so I would be called a twink because I barely have any fucking hair on my face besides my lining that it's not here anymore. And the fact that I'm just cute and twinkish. So that's the name of the category that I'm in, I would assume. So Darien used to be a twink, but he put on some muscle.
I'm working out more just to build my muscle up.
I'm trying to get there too. I've been in the gym and I just can't gain any weight.
I feel like when I say I was going to revamp myself, I really revamped myself. So I like the new me.
And I think the thing is when we go back and we're like, we want to revamp ourselves, is because of it's a deeper hurt within ourselves. I think Darien, of course, based on his first story that he gave, his introduction, he had a lot going on in his hometown, so he was carrying a lot of hurt. And sometimes you want to change yourself. Sometimes you want to add things. You want to change yourself because you're no longer associated with that hurt. You're no longer associated with that past you, which is common in a lot of things. I think for myself, I think going to college was like one of the things where I'm just like, I want to go and I just want to have the freedom to just explore and not feel judged or judged for the things that I'm interested in, or the things that I'm curious about, or the things that I want to try, and not feel judged. And I think a lot of that was coming from the stigma of the the Black community, that if it's not talked about, it's not necessarily not accepted. It's not that it's not accepted, but you don't know that it is because it's not talked about, and because of that, the only thing that is talked about is mocking of a gay, bisexual, trans lifestyle that you see or you hear talked about, but you don't talk about the positive. So I think for me, I wanted to go off to a different place and kind of have a different experience and make it my own experience. But of course,
after 3 years in the city, he contracted HIV.
I was feeling
very sick. We didn't know HIV.
So I remember leaving work, went to the doctor's office, and they said, okay, you have gonorrhea and acute HIV. I was so shocked. I just started thinking, why me? I was just break down crying. It's like, Darien, how did you get yourself to this point where you contracted HIV?
So had you been using condoms consistently before this happened?
A few times, like I want to say 2 or 3 times, I would slip up and not use them. But I would get tested on a regular basis. I would go and get tested from 3 to 6 months. And every time I got tested, it was negative. So I wasn't really worried about it.
Like many young people,
I feel like sometimes it's hard though. Like, I'm not saying that's his story, but most times when you are, you go get tested, you don't find out about anything. Honestly, like, I didn't really know about STDs, severely STDs, like by names and what they are, until I started getting involved in sex. And of course, just like constantly getting that after becoming HIV positive, because that means I would be more susceptible to actually getting like chlamydia or gonorrhea or any other STDs, or I'm more likely, because my immune system isn't as strong as it used to be, and so it can't fight off the infection. But let's get back to this.
Darien was careless with condoms 2 or 3 times, but unlike most young people, his risk of HIV was so high because of who he is and where he is.
Now think about that. She said his slip up was about 3 to 4 or 2 to 3 times a condom use, but because of who he is and where he is, he was at a higher risk, which means in those 2 or 3 times where he slipped up, because this man was Black, because he was gay, because he was in Atlanta, Georgia, the rate of catching HIV was so much higher for him. And why, I'm not going to say why is that, because it's like, okay, why is he Black? Why is he gay? It's like, no, it's why did he, in those 2 or 3 instances, did he get affected by HIV? Like, think about that, because I honestly, I connect hard with that fact, that statement, because I would definitely say when I found out that I was HIV positive was really in the first couple of months of me like exploring my interest with men sexually in college. Like, I would say I slept with the first guy I had slept with was my senior year. Got into college and then didn't really have much interaction with guys until my sophomore year. One guy, and that was like over summer, or was that summer break or something like that? It was some time in that year when I was single, and then not until my senior year I actually started to become more open about me being interested in guys. But in that slip up though, like I wasn't. It just happened, like I wasn't out there like that. I wasn't here, like I wasn't shaking my ass. I was doing all this. It just happened. And so it's crazy to think about that. Like in the 2 or 3 slip-ups, the fact that you're black, you're gay, or bisexual, that you have an interest in guys, whatever it may be, you're at a higher risk because of the statistics around that. So it's something to think about.
I've come to meet Tori Cooper, an HIV prevention specialist on the front line of the epidemic in Atlanta.
Some people like black condoms. Some people like non-latex condoms. Some people like insertive condoms. Some people like the larger condoms. A personal favorite. Have you ever seen this before?
I have not.
So it's an FC2, and this is a condom. I want you to open. We're going to open one together. This is great because it goes inside of the receptive partner. And I always tell people, if your partner is bigger around than that, then you probably should not date him. All right? So.
Sis, that man half horse.
How much more at risk of contracting HIV are you as a black gay man than a white gay man?
So a black gay man in the South, his chances of getting HIV are about 1 out of 2. For white gay men, it's closer to around 1 out of 11.
No,
so that's
go
really
be a dog.
a startling statistic. Sometimes because of their skin color, they have access to certain things that black gay men don't.
Generalizing. So what she basically is saying is because of being black, where you're at, you may not have access to certain resources, such as what she does, what she's doing, like handing out condoms and lubrication and things like that. That's something that's freely accessible with a lot of healthcare providers. But I think on top of that, what she means is the education, access to that, the healthcare, the prevention side of education. If we don't have that, then you are more likely to, of course, go and of course, find yourself in a situation where you may have contracted an STD or may have contracted HIV. It's crazy to think about, but think about those things. Like, why is that the case? And it's because we don't have access to certain things. Through my experience, like I didn't know what PrEP was until 2014, like at all. Like, of course, it was just new during that time. Like it was just getting out there. But I bet you, $100 that my counterpart, Caucasian counterpart, would have known about PrEP more likely than I would, because of the fact that I didn't have access to certain things, that I didn't have the education. But I bet my counterpart did if they had went to their provider or their or through their resources. And of course, I'm involved with guys. Well, if you are involved in guys, there is a likely chance that such and such that you could catch HIV. Here is PrEP. This is the thing that protects you from such and such. We highly recommend you getting on this because it will protect you from contracting HIV, which is a pre-exposure prophylaxis medicine, just like what I take, but it keeps them from catching it versus helping them maintaining HIV. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like 2014, I didn't know about that, and I would have loved to hear about that because I would have definitely gone on that if I did. But it sucks that it was I didn't learn it until after the fact that I had contracted HIV. It's just one of the interesting topics. I'll say.
Generally. I'm generalizing here. And sometimes that includes access to stuff like PrEP, which stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Okay,
and that's for people who are HIV negative. It's a pill that they take once a day that keeps them HIV negative. It keeps them from getting HIV.
That's correct.
And what we're finding is, as PrEP continues to roll out, there are a lot more people who are white, who may not be as high risk, who have access to PrEP. If you're someone for whom 85% of the billboards are targeting you, they have pictures of you on there, then you start to realize, hey, this is a message for me. We've had 35 years of messaging for white gay men.
35 years. Now, I'm not sure if that's just like specifically in the South, but think about that. Like, if you have a brand dedicated, if you have a product dedicated to a certain demographic, you're going to advertise for that demographic. And remember, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago about Robert Rayford, where the demographic, the demonstration wasn't utilized, or his story, or many other queer stories who are colored that were affected by HIV first, weren't talked about. And this is another problem within just our environment. We don't get advertisement to the Black community unless it's something geared towards entertainment. Like basketball, shoes, like haircuts, clothes, like different things, entertainment, like specific things, not like those actual core things that actually matter and affect our community. It's not until it's upon us Black individuals, where we got to go out and actually advertise that we need to do this about ourselves because it's affecting us. It's affecting us severely. And when we don't have those advertisements out there showing the numbers, showing that this is geared towards you, then about that, we're not gonna think that's affecting our community. More than likely, we'll think that it's the reverse, that this is just a way to try to brainwash us or the youth or whatever it is to think that this is affecting us, when it's like, no, motherfucker, go do your homework. This actually does affect many people, and I hope this video is screaming in your face and telling you that it does.
White gay men.
But yeah,
have gotten it, or at least they're getting it, and they're far ahead than everybody else.
Lower rates of health access, education, and income have all been found to play a role in the HIV rate among gay African American men. But these systematic and historical factors are not enough to persuade everyone. Some people place the blame for the HIV epidemic solely on the gay Black men living through it.
We live in an era where the morals have vanished out here. And everybody's fucking and sucking everything they can get their hands on.
This is Walter Lee Hampton II.
Well, everybody fucking and sucking everybody out here. Anything they can get on. Ooh, I bet he got some shit to say. Let me stop. Let me go.
Controversial YouTuber on Atlanta's gay scene. As someone who is HIV negative, he's often accused of demonizing gay Black men and ignoring the evidence of what's really behind America's HIV problem. How do you explain the fact that it's still such a problem in the Black community and not in the white community? Because for a lot of people that shows that it isn't just about behaviour, it's about things like healthcare and education.
I'm a member of the Black gay community. I understand and I see what's going on, and it's unfortunate what I see going on in our community. These guys are not trying to build relationships. White guys are more prone to get into relationships.
I mean, I don't know if that's true.
Wait, what?
I know it's true.
If there have been studies done that show that Black gay men actually have fewer sexual partners.
Okay, sus. You sound like You sound like a ruckus. Like, hold the phone. Sus. Wait, hold up. He sound like they just said he demonized gay Black men so you're blaming the Black man for contracting HIV? Let's watch a little more. Hold up.
Partners. and white gay men?
Well, nobody's going to walk into a study, talk to a person who's taking a study and say, well, you know, I just slept with 5 people in the past 48 hours. People are not going to tell the truth.
I would hope that that statement's false. The point of a study is to give the most accurate information. So the fact that you're saying that people walk into studies and just lie, the fact that you say black men who walk into studies and just lie is throwing everything out. Like, you sound fucking stupid. Why? Because that sounds like something you would do, Walter. Like, why would anyone walk into a study that they know they're giving information, right, that's going to be affecting every damn body in the damn world and give false information? Run its credentials.
I know what these guys are doing.
This is like an America-wide study that shows that black men engage in less risky sexual behavior, have fewer partners.
I would take that study and toss it into the trash can. And I'm being very serious with you, because I know that's not accurate. I talk to too many people nationwide who tell me partner after partner has insisted that they do not have protected sex. They want
unprotected sex. But maybe that's the same
sex.
In the white community.
Well, it could be the same in the white community.
I think he's 50-50 in that statement he just said, where people do prefer unprotected sex. Like, of course people prefer unprotected sex. It feels like amazing. But I think you want that when, of course, both partners are one's, of course, if they're serotonin, I think is the proper name of that, when someone's positive and the other partner is negative. If the positive person is taking their medication, the negative person's taking PrEP, and they're both on the same page. Well, we're both okay with this. We know that we're taking care of ourselves. We know that there is an unlikely chance of me, the negative person, contracting it. Then, of course, I think that is the option that couple or that partnership has they can make that decision. But to say that, to generalize that HIV positive men just want to have unprotected sex because they just want to have unprotected sex because they out here doing it, I think it's just a very bold statement if you don't have the numbers to back it up or the information to back it up, but you're just going off of what you talked about in your experience. In that case, you're only talking about your experience. You're not necessarily talking about a general population. I know that's a very it's 50-50.
I can't tell you nothing about what's going on in white America.
Ooh.
So in white America,
I don't know anything.
Men have more sexual partners than black men.
I don't know anything about
just
that.
As likely to use a condom.
I couldn't tell you anything about their sexual practice because I'm not a white man.
My point is, if the sexual behaviour doesn't differ, why is the problem so big in the black community? Is it not something systematic that's happening as well as this promiscuity that you see?
When you say systematic, you think somebody's out there injecting these guys with HIV?
No.
Okay, so when you say systematic, what do you mean? Explain it to me.
I mean, education, access to healthcare, historical interventions being targeted at the white community.
Like what she's saying, bro.
There are a lot of factors that a lot of other people see.
Yeah. Well, when she's saying that there
because I'm
is
black and gay,
systematic things,
and I've sat here in Atlanta
that are
and I've witnessed
that play
and
in part of those numbers is what she's
within the black
community. Because I'm about to break it down to you too.
I can honestly say,
and I'm not.
Promiscuous,
I'm not like
sexual behavior is the problem.
A scientist
that is the
or
problem.
A doctor or somebody who does studies, but I definitely know the difference when people are affected by certain things because they don't have access to certain things. Some people don't have access to proper transportation, to even go to a healthcare provider, to even go to these resources. Some people don't even have the proper education, or just not even the proper, it's just the education that everyone else who's getting because they're stuck or they're in a situation that they have no control over, i.e. poverty, i.e. Poor community. Like you think of Mississippi. Like Mississippi has a high number of running HIV numbers. And it is a very poor. Some of the communities there are very poor. Like just think of that. Some places don't have access to proper education, public facilities. There are not a lot there because there is not a lot of money going there. And then think about the places that are in that the religious belt part of Mississippi. So now you ain't got proper education, you ain't got access to resources because because the religious belt, they're driving politics, they're driving rules, which means that they don't want that in their community. They don't want that to be preached. They want abstinence to be preached because they believe that is the best way, which is one of the great ways to prevent HIV. But of course, there are many other ways. But if we're not educating because we don't think all 30s are affecting why a person don't have the access, don't have the education, and then because of all those things, they're stuck on a down low. So they don't even know if they're either positive or they're negative. But either way, they're going to be one out of two men. They're going to be most likely affected by HIV, and then most likely be spreading it to the next person because they don't have access to. Oh, I could go on forever on this shit, Walter. I am not a scientist. I am not that's just. It just makes sense. It makes sense. Let me sip my tea. Okay.
I can honestly say promiscuous, risky sexual behavior is the problem. That is the problem.
Promiscuous, risky sexual behavior is the problem. It's not the problem, it is a problem because it goes back to what I just said. It goes back to, yes, it's risky behavior because we're not educated that if every black person or if the black community know that they're 50% more likely to catch HIV if they are gay or MSN, which is man having sex with men, I think is whatever it is. If they knew that, then of course there'll be the right things to follow under that. Then risky behavior wouldn't be risky because now we know that this is affecting us. But because we're not talking about it, but instead we're demonizing it, it only forces the people who may not have the resources, who may live in impoverished areas, who may be who can't be open about who they are. Because it's demonized, or it's you can't do it because your family says this or whatever, or your community doesn't allow it or accept it, or your society doesn't allow it or accept it. It then further pushes the person deeper into the closet, deeper into risky behavior, deeper into not knowing about the numbers, not knowing that this could affect them, and if it is affecting them, it could affect the next person that they're having sex with because they're being pushed into risky behaviors. They're not getting access to PrEP. They're not getting their education. So I think it is a problem, but it's not the problem. It's one of the many things that play into why HIV is affecting the black community. Yes, Lord.
All right, so this is
that's the same medicine I take.
I take one a day.
Jamoya.
What would happen if you didn't stick to this?
If you don't take your medicine, you will develop AIDS, and they will really kill you. So, if you take your medicine, eat right, live right, you keep your T cells higher and your viral loads down. And with that, you'll be able to maintain a HIV positive, undetectable status.
What does it mean to have an undetectable viral load?
You're not able to transmit the virus to somebody else.
So if you're undetectable,
now what I mean, I want to pause real quick because when I said access to information, I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. I can't even find it, so never mind. What I was gonna get to is it's pointless at this point. Let's go ahead and cut right back to it.
if you sleep with somebody, even unprotected, they would not get HIV. Mm-hmm. So it's basically impossible for you to transmit HIV to anybody else.
Most of the time I medicine, there's no way they can get it.
Viral suppression.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
How much does it cost?
Ooh, it costs a lot. But there's different programs out there. Like this costs $2,000. And
you heard him right. I just said we take the same medication. His costs $2,000, and mine's costs. Yeah, mine's about $2,000. Yep, $2,000. That's a lot. So let's see how we pay for it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, $2,000.
Now, if you remember the first video, not the first video, but the video I did with Pam from PHS Positive Health Solutions, she had talked about that HIV medication can range from $1,000 up to, I think, $3,500, or what, $3,000, I believe. It ranges in that category. That's a lot of money. And think about that. If you don't have the right resources, then on top of that, you're not being treated. So basically, you're living a life. You're living a life in the 1980s. You're living a life in the night when HIV was first appeared, because you don't have access to certain things. When everybody should have access to these things. Everyone should have the education to these things. Sad.
In the months following his diagnosis, Darien has joined a group called Thrive. They hold regular meetups where gay black men socialise and talk about their experiences living with HIV. Darien is one of their youngest and newest members.
Some of us were just diagnosed last summer, and some of us have been living with HIV
This is dope as fuck.
decades.
Yo, like,
so if anybody can speak.
This is mad cool as shit. Like, when I first found out that I was HIV positive, I got involved in a support group very immediately, because there, it was actually during winter break, and actually there weren't a lot of people. A lot of my friends went back home, and I actually stayed in Charleston. So, and God, that winter was so rememberable. Like, it just brings tears to my eyes. That's how, like, vivid it is. Like, I think I was staying at my friend's house because I just could not stay at home, and I was with my dog, and geez. But anyways, yeah, I got involved in a support group, and when I first got there, most of the people that were there were older white men, and the only black person that was there was, only black people that were there were me, who was new, and then there was also a guy that was in there as well, who I became really good friends with. You know you are. Hey, boo. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. It's interesting because, like I said in the video before when I was talking about Robert Rayford, we need role models. We need people who are older and who are positive, because they can tell the story. They have walked a life. Of course, like I said before, HIV doesn't have a name. It doesn't choose. But when you are black in America, it makes a difference. Your walk of life is different. Just like if you're a transgender, your walk of life is different. There are layers that you're adding on to your life that makes things a lot more challenging, that makes access to certain things that much harder. So having this many mentors, of course in the heart of Atlanta, which makes sense, but this many mentors, people who are affected by it, it makes my heart warm. It really is cool to see. It really is.
The stigma then was so thick because families were rejecting them. Preachers were preaching that this was God's plague. I had friends dying and the church would not do their services. We would have memorial services in bars in our backyards because they wouldn't do it. And then with the medicine making people so sick, a lot of people wouldn't take the medicine. I wouldn't take it. I took AZT for 2 days. I said, no, if I'm going out Bring me a bottle of
I know that's right.
Well, for
Bring
me,
me a bottle of some
being
whiskey.
diagnosed, I was like kind of scared at first. My mom, she's a registered nurse, so she sees this all the time, and she would keep preaching to me, make sure you wrap it up. So she was the first one I told, and I was I feel like I slapped her in the face.
I get angry because I feel like my generation didn't do enough to protect you. That's just me. The first thing that goes through my mind is, you should not be positive, and young men should not be leaving this planet with AIDS, with this disease.
White people.
That is, I got so many thoughts running in my head just off that statement. The keys that his generation should have been the one that protected the next generation. That should have. I'm not sure if you guys watched the video of my speech that I gave, but in one of my lines I say, it's now my turn to take the will of fire, the torch, and carry that forward and try to help others talk about this, try to break the stigma, because this should not keep going. There shouldn't be a cycle. Yeah.
Or white men specifically aren't getting it as much, so the response is totally watered down. When we think about all of the other things that affect black men, that, you know, when we do the what if around them, so like what if said thing, what if police brutality were happening against mostly white men, what would the response be then? The onus is always on us. You should have done more to avoid you getting it. We don't challenge.
See? He woke. He is woke as fuck. He woke as fuck. Hold up.
Or question the systems that are set up that leave us predisposed to getting HIV.
Oh, break that shit down. What that man just said is, we're not questioning the system. We're not questioning the things around it that leaves us pre-exposed. But it's left up to us when it does happen to then take on, or not even when it does happen, but it's up to us to make sure that it doesn't happen. When it's not up to us how our environment is, it's not up to us how our community is affected by poverty. Example, my mom lives on the west side of Chicago. Scratch that. My mom lives on the west side of Chicago. Like, it's not a very rich side of the town. Like, and you can't blame the people who live there that it's that way. There are systems that affect their living and entraps them to live that way, and thus enforcing behaviors because they are in that fucking realm of systematic issues or just that shit. For example, if you have me who's HIV positive, like the fact that I don't have the education does tell to my education of growing up, does tell to the things that my community aren't open or comfortable with talking about, because we don't know how to talk about it, because we aren't getting the resources ourselves. So one of the things I like to say is, on top of this, what he just said was, the man put out there, you can't blame the person. It's not victim blaming. What he's saying is, there are so many issues around the system itself. Get the focus. Come on, bring it back. The system around around HIV or around gay black men. Why are they being so affected heavily by this? It's not just risky behavior. It's not just risky sex. It's what's affecting the black community. And that's the real question here, is what he's saying. We're not questioning what it is. We're at a dense population where a lot of gay black men, Like, I think, bro, he way too woke. He woke as fuck. I appreciate that.
Or question the systems that are set up that leave us predisposed to getting HIV.
That's so true, though. And that's true to a lot of things. It's not just black men, it's a lot of things.
Support systems like Thrive are often life-saving for people living with HIV. But for the most marginalised communities, a lack of support can have dangerous consequences. For black trans women, the HIV rate is also 1 in 2.
Wow.
But their risk of homelessness, drug addiction and prostitution is higher. And each of these make it harder to access the HIV care they need. I met Pearl in Piedmont Park as she did her weekly outreach for the homeless women who live there.
Wow.
We have jeans, short pants, sweaters, dresses, skirts. These are gift bags, which consist of condoms, lube, makeup, literature, and eyebrow pencils, and all the little accessories every girl needs.
Yeah.
Pearl, yes.
There's not too many organizations out there now that helping transgenders that are homeless and living with HIV. So I took it upon myself to do something like that because I was also homeless and I'm living with HIV. So I was down there with them at one point.
Were you in this park?
Yes. Wow. But I was on drugs. I was out there prostituting, doing whatever it took to survive.
What do you think it is about?
And I think that's one of the telling things about the black community. Like you know how to survive. Like that's just one of the things my mom, we didn't grow up like the richest family, of course, but like because of the things that my mom like made sure that wasn't the case. It never crossed my mind that like we were just striving to survive. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the case. There were down moments, there were down moments. I definitely say that, but 1 and 2. It's the same for black transgender women and men. Why is that? And on top of that, they're homeless. They don't have access to certain things. She's bringing condoms. She's bringing literature. She's bringing pencils, makeup. Like, all of that tells me that they don't have access to certain places. They can't go to certain places without feeling the fear of who they are may bring harm to them. The families don't support them. Like, that's
about cool. Being trans as well as black that makes people more likely to end up as homeless.
You dealing with HIV, being trans, being black. You got all them strikes against you.
Yes.
A lot of these trans was damaged from their homes, parents putting them out at young ages. And I know it's gotta be a deep down hurt. So I don't think it's never over. And I think that what holds them still into that bad spot where they at.
I dribble my ass like a basketball. I dribble my ass like a basketball. John Mulaney told you I was coming last season. Lemon pepper wings, fries, extra season. Go on, dance, girl, get it. It's your season. John Mulaney season. John Mulaney season. Sleeping so good on his Tempur-Pedic. Kiss so good, had to let him eat it. Bitch so bad, had to let him eat it. I'm the girl in the picture. I'm the one when I'm with you. Let's get it.
Oh, you got a whiteboard too. I got a whiteboard right there.
Next year, Darien will come off his mum's insurance policy, leaving him unable to pay the $2,000 a month he needs for his medicine. Through his support network, he has found out about programs that can help towards the cost. But for other young gay black men across America, these resources simply aren't there.
Right now, I feel like with that younger generation, they feel so isolated from people who has information about medicine or who can't afford medicine, so they don't take it. And that's why it's more the younger generation dying now, quicker than the ones who lived through it back in the day.
So if everybody had their viral load
low,
nobody would be catching HIV.
I think for a long time, people have simply not cared. When we talk about even the first initial cases, we forget that there were black people suffering and dying at the very beginning as well. And so we became an afterthought even from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I remember a time the communities rallying around young men who were dying and holding them up to look into faces like Darien and to think, you may not be in this situation if people saw value in your life.
That man woke as fuck. I'd like to meet him one day. Wow, that was a great video. So yeah, that last bit was just talking about kind of like people who, such as myself, who are HIV positive. What are we doing to kind of help people who don't have the resources? What are we doing within our power? What are we doing within what means that we have, what access we have to educate and share that information? And so I feel like this is one of the many reasons why I created this channel, is because I may not be the richest person, but I know how to work a fucking camera. I know how to use some lights. I have a great story, a relatable story, and I know things, I know people, I know organizations. So why not share that? And that is why I chose to make this week dedicated to Central Illinois friends who help people like Darien, like myself, in Central Illinois with the many things that if they weren't there, they wouldn't have access to. So guys, go ahead, drop your donations in the link below. We're trying to reach $1,000, you know. Even if we don't reach $1,000, we don't get me glammed up. Let's go ahead and reach some amount. Let's go ahead and let these people, let everyone know. Transgender, gay, bisexual, straight, positive, negative, that we care about them, that we do value their lives, that we want them to know that we're talking about this and we're trying to help them in any way that we can. So thank you for watching this episode. This is Dusty Line. You guys have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye.